Hey, I'm Orlando Bloom, and you're watching Movie Phones Unscripted. And today we are talking to Mr. Cameron Crowe. We're actually going to ask each other some questions, some of the questions that you've asked us to ask each other, and some that we're going to ask each other. And it's about our new film, Elizabethtown. And I think I'll start with the first question. Okay, this is from Elaine Panachuli from Franklin Square, New York. I've heard that some of Elizabethtown is autobiographical. If so, which parts?
Orlando, you know the answer to this question. A lot of it is autobiographical, and it comes from really the story of my dad. And he was from Kentucky, and I've always written about different aspects of my family and kind of my own history with love and life and music, but I'd never written about my father and that whole aspect of my family and the roots of my family, and it just kind of came in a burst about 3 summers ago, and it's about getting to know him even more after he unfortunately passed away suddenly, because I think we all think at some point we're going to get to know our parents as adults later, and we'll be in a big chair sitting around talking about everything, and you'll really know each other in your later years, but sometimes a parent doesn't last that long, and you find yourself learning more about them when they're not there. So that was the genesis of the movie. How long you played so well?
Oh, thanks.
It's Drew Baylor.
How long after your dad passed away did you start to write this?
It was a long time. It was about, let me see, it was 14 years later, actually.
Wow.
And somebody said to me at the time, it may hit you in 2 weeks, it may hit you in 2 years, it may hit you in 10 years. And that was really true, because time passed and I felt like, you know, I still really knew my dad and his influence was around so much. And then later, really traveling through Kentucky on a tour bus, it all came back to me, and the need to write this movie came to me. And as soon as I finished it, I called you up and said, I have a part and I want to meet you, and that's when we met and started working on Drew Baylor.
Wow. It was that soon?
It was that soon.
Well, there you go.
Because we had worked together on a commercial, the only commercial I'd ever done.
And me.
For The Gap.
And I only did it because I wanted to work with him.
And I did it because I knew it'd be cool with you. And we had a really good time doing it, and there was so much kind of emotion and fun and drama too in your face in this commercial that we did, that it really started to get into my head as I was writing the script. I would see you in the part.
Do you remember saying
that's why I called you?
I remember you saying on set when we did that commercial, you were like, if only there were words. If only there were words.
It was silent.
And
it was you running. Of course,
yeah, I know, I remember. And I was like, God, I was thinking how much I wanted to do something with you. It was...
And that day appeared.
It did.
This question is from Tasha Hansen from Stoughton, Wisconsin. A killer city, I can tell. What was it like to play such an everyday character after portraying so many larger-than-life ones? Tasha.
Nice question. It was amazing. It was a relief not to have a sword in my hand or a bow. Although there was a scene in the movie, I'm not sure if it's going to make the cut, where I did actually get handed a sword, and I was like, I can't believe there's another sword in a movie. Even though it was...
You were given a sword as a gift.
I was given a sword as a gift.
And it was unintentional, really. It was no huge...
I just thought it was funny.
Looming significance to it.
No,
but I will tell you that when we cut it early, people did kind of come into the room and say, well, you know, you've...
Still managed
just cut Orlando Bloom's scene with a sword. Just know what you're doing. Know what you've just done.
I know.
But I think we get along without it.
I think we do indeed. But it was fantastic. It was an opportunity to play a contemporary young man, an American young man, and most of all, it was an opportunity to work with the Cameron Crowe of the world. And I'm not sure how I'll ever look back. And this is an unscripted me to you. Ooh,
bring it.
I was waiting for that thing to come up on the screen. If you could pick one moment out of all the movies that you've made, what would be the moment, either making the film or that you actually captured on camera, on film, that really resonates for you as the moment that you sort of will treasure as a movie moment for you?
That's a cool question. It used to be when Renee Zellweger saw her little son Ray Boyd in the movie kissing Jerry Maguire for the first time in the kitchen.
Yeah.
It really got me when she did that, and it didn't get anybody else at the time. And I just sort of stood there watching this thing happen, and they were breaking up the equipment and taking it into the next room to start the next scene, and I was kind of standing there going, I think something really deep just happened that we caught on film. And they're like, come on, get going. But then when we put the movie together, it was that for me. And at least as powerful as that was you in a scene that we shot last summer, where your character Drew Baylor was kind of breaking loose of his emotional bounds, and you're following Kirsten Dunst's advice in a map, and she's saying, take a moment to dance alone with nobody watching, one hand waving free. Don't worry, be embarrassing, basically. And we shot this scene of you just dancing wildly and recklessly alone, way off in the distance in Arkansas, in this hall of trees in Arkansas. And it's really amazing in the movie, and we all got real emotional when you did that. And of course, as you remember, the irony was there were several hundred people watching you in this moment that was supposed to be alone, because they found out where you're going to be filming, and still you managed to shut them all out and have this kind of wild, goofy, loopy moment. And I've read online, people that have seen the movie have really been affected by that scene, and it's cool, and that's my new favorite. Well, you know, Daniel Toma from Ridgewood, New Jersey asks you, what role in the history of cinema would you have loved to play?
Great question, Daniel. You know, one of the movies that inspired me most growing up, and it's bizarre because my cousin screened it for me when I was a kid. He got it out on video, and it was a black and white film, and I was only about 13, so it was kind of weird that it would connect with me. And it's not really a kid's movie at all, but The Hustler and Eddie Felson. I just was blown away with how cool. My grandfather taught me to play snooker, and in the movie it's all about pool, but I was taught to play snooker by my grandfather when I was growing up. So I was really into that whole, the pool table of it.
Wow.
Of it all. And I had a really little one when I was a kid growing up. But Eddie Felson, and Paul Newman, just everything he represents as an actor and in life, he just inspired, constantly a source of inspiration.